morning and welcome to Business Angle on DRTV, where we update you with happenings in the business world as we look at prices, products, services, and the economy, and also bring you conversations around it. I'm Mercy Amarsawari. You're welcome. Let's join Nasi on the business news.
Hello and welcome to Business News. Nigeria lost about 13.21 million barrels of crude oil with an estimated worth of 603.64 billion naira between January and August this year, an analysis of the month's report of the country's crude oil and production showed. Figures contained in the report obtained from the Nigerian Upstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission in Abuja on Sunday indicated that the country's oil production only increased in 2 months but crashed in others. Total crude oil production in January was 43.35 million barrels, but this dropped to 35.22 million barrels in February, indicating a loss of 8.13 million barrels. It moved up in March, increasing by 3.14 million barrels to close at 38.36 million barrels in the third month of 2022. This, however, was not sustained, as production dropped to 36.58 million barrels in April, and the country lost 1.78 million barrels in that month. The losses contained in May after oil production crashed to 31.76 million barrels, representing a loss of 4.82 million barrels when compared to what was produced the preceding month. It increased in June to 34.75 million barrels, representing an oil production gain of 2.99 million barrels, but that was short-lived, as output fell again in July to 33.6 million barrels, meaning the country lost 1.15 million barrels in July. The oil production losses persisted in August, crashing further to 30.14 million barrels, representing a loss of 3.46 million barrels. It was observed that the total losses stood at 19.34 million barrels, while what was gained was 6.13 million barrels, leaving a cumulative loss of 13.21 million barrels during the review period. The value of manufactured goods traded tumbled by 36% from 4.51 trillion naira in the second quarter of 2021 to 2.87 trillion naira in the corresponding period of 2022. This is according to the foreign trade report by the National Bureau of Statistics for the second quarter of the year and its corresponding quarter of 2021. Foreign trade statistics measured goods traded between an economic entity and its economic counterpart within a given period. The fall in the value of traded manufactured goods came as manufacturers continued to grapple with skyrocketing costs and a harsh operating environment. According to findings, exports of manufactured goods also took a downward plug within the period in review from 211 to 67 billion recorded in 2021 to 119.53 billion naira in 2022, representing a 43.5% decline in 12 months. Speaking in an exclusive interview, the Director General of the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, Olushola Abadimu, said that given the prevailing economic climate, the decline in the value of manufactured exports was expected. The Nigeria Academy of Engineering has urged the federal government to intensify efforts and develop policies geared towards industrialization as a means of ensuring economic diversification in the country. The engineers made the call at a windmill titled "From Consumption to Production: The Role of Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zones in Nigeria." The keynote speaker at the event, Senior Special Advisor to the President, African Development Bank, Professor Banji Oluyere Ayelinka, regretted that Nigeria, which had embraced industrialization in the wake of political independence, neglected a sector that was key to any successful economy. Oyeyinka observed that Nigeria manufactured very little of what it consumed, as most of the countries need what's imported from other countries. He explained that there was a need for the Nigerian manpower to help the country to transit from consumption to manufacturing, noting that if a society spends $100,000 to manufacture a product within its border, the money used to pay for materials, labor, and other costs move through the economy as each recipient spends it. In his address, the president of the academy, Professor Peter Onwulu, observed that there was a strong link between agriculture, manufacturing, and industrialization. He noted that unless Nigeria got its agricultural development plans right, industrialization might not happen. And that's it for business news. I am Nancy Oyembuchi.
And welcome to the interview segment on Business Angle, and today our focus is on the impact of multiple taxation for MSMEs. Taxes are one of the financial obligations of citizens, businesses to the government, and serve as a major source of revenue. Experts say tax-friendly economies record higher investments inflow than countries with difficult tax regimes. Nigeria has 39.6 million micro, small and medium enterprise MSMEs, as well as large corporations, all of which are expected to pay different taxes to the federal, state and local governments. What impact does this multiple taxation have on businesses in Nigeria? Joining us this morning on the discussion is Odomo Ife, as a chartered tax practitioner. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning. Happy, do I say new week?
Okay.
No, today is Tuesday.
All right. You're welcome, sir.
God bless you.
Okay. Why do we have the problem of multiple taxation in Nigeria?
You know, the federal government has been trying to address this issue, but they have not been able to succeed. For as long as they try, the wider it becomes. You know, the multiple taxation in Nigeria has to do with a way of raising money for the various levels of government, but it is a tax too much. The federal government will collect the through the federal revenue, the state will collect through the state revenue board, the local government will come with their own, they call it a tariff. Even these days, they added the other ones, like the local vigilante will come and collect their own, they call it whether security or some levy like that. And how much is the profit that these people are making? In the earlier stage of the country, the SMEs were responsible for about 97% employment of the total employees the country was having. And they contribute about 50% to our GDP. But most of them are folding up very seriously because of excessive taxes and variable costs of running their various businesses. And it does not augur well. For you to grow an economy, you need these small companies, the artisans, you need them. Once they are not there, it has a direct effect on the generality of the nation. So I think if the federal government should come out and outline, streamline the taxes that these people are being levied for, the better for these people. Because as it is now, most of these people, let's take example as all these our small hairdressers and co. They have to pay to the local government, they pay to the local vigilante that they are keeping watch over their properties, and if anything happens to them, there is nobody that is coming to their rescue because that they have been paying taxes. And not only that, how much is the profit that is coming out of these small enterprises? When you spend almost 80% of it in buying fuel to run your generators, then the little money you have, you now pay it again to the government agencies. They should be able to give them some tax leverage and allow them to grow. Without that, nothing will ever work in the small enterprises. Nothing.
Okay. Now, the manufacturers' confidence index report for the second quarter of 2021 shows that the second major problem of manufacturers was taxation, multiple taxation and levies charged by government agencies. What effect does this really have on those businesses?
Well, if they want to remain in business, the only thing they do is to increase their own selling price.
Okay.
And there is a level to which you increase your selling price, the consumers will not be able to afford them. You know, by the time you have if you put the elasticity to the end of it, people will have to revolt. And when people don't buy and you continue producing, you might be forced at the end of the day to sell even below your cost price to make sure you dispose of all those goods. And what does that translate into? Folding up of so many companies. All this manufacturing, especially the textile industry, all the ones I was growing up in those days to know, are no longer in existence because of all this type of taxes the government is levying. When you get to the port, if you bring your raw materials, you will pay. You get to the office, some of them will come and tell you what you have reported is not supposed to be, you will pay. You manufacture, you want to sell, after selling, you pay. Now they are not talking of VAT. For every stage you go, you have to pay a percentage of your taxes. And all these things boil down to the fact that it is your selling price that you are trying to hit up. And there is a level it can go. If it goes beyond that level, your market will crash. And nobody wants to crash. Therefore, they want to result into producing, most of them producing substandard to make sure they close that gap. And also that one has a boomerang effect on the company itself. Because when they know that your products are becoming substandard, they shift base. And nobody wants to lose his fair share of the market. So the Manufacturers Association, I pray that the government should actually look into the plight of we Nigerians as of today, because we are suffering a lot. In every angle, we are suffering from government policies. They should come up with a statement policy that for a number of years, we are not going to collect taxes, especially the new ones coming into the industry, and the ones that are already there. Let us reduce the tax rate to those people. It can be applied maybe to the manufacturing industry or maybe one or two other sectors of the economy, so that we can now be self-sufficient in producing. And when you produce optimally, it will reduce your cost of importation. Because when you import everything you use or you consume without exporting anyone, it has a boomerang effect in the sense that there will not be balance of trade payment. And when you have disequilibrium in that area, then the masses are on their own. So I believe that the government can still do something to help the manufacturing sector in beefing up and boosting the economy of the nation. We are totally down. Okay.
Now, let's look at the tax that is expected of business owners to actually pay, because concerns have been raised about the country's tax system, which is businesses paying different taxes and levies officially and unofficially. We've seen some local government chairmen say, don't pay tax, don't pay revenue to social persons, don't pay this to social persons, because some persons might just come and say, we are this, we are collecting for this, and it might not really be official. And owing to the fact that a lot of persons, they don't even know the ones to pay and the ones not to pay, they just keep paying.
Like when you talk of limited liability company, the public companies, they have to pay their taxes to the federal government, under Federal Inland Revenue Service. Those enterprises, private companies, they have to pay to the state. Then when you talk of signages, local adverts, shop rents, and so on and so forth, they are supposed to go to the local government. Those are the three sets of taxes we should pay. But because most of Nigerian businessmen too, they want to cut corners. They will be afraid to follow that strict rule. They want to settle from here and there and make sure they beat down the taxes they pay. But that's not the solution to it. The businessmen should be able to be educated on the type of taxes they pay. They will be able to tell the taxman that this is what I am supposed to pay. This is the type of business I run, and this is the type of tax I'm to pay, and this is the organ of which I pay my tax to. Not that somebody will just come and say, I'm a tax officer. You have the right to question that tax officer. Where are you from? Why are you supposed to collect this tax? Under what law and rule are you collecting these taxes? We should be able to ask questions. But mostly, our people have been too afraid to talk, because once they just hear this sentence from the government, they want to go. There was a scenario where a tax collector will always go to a food canteen and collect money that they say there is no money, it's okay, let them give you one plate of food. Meanwhile, he was not a tax officer. Just making sure that he gets something to satisfy his stomach infrastructure. If those people had known their right, they will not give him anything. So we should know our right. We should be able to at least Get someone to educate us if we don't know. But there are definitely the three categories of government we have today is the federal, the state, and the local government, of which the payment of taxes is fully allocated per level of government. Like the VAT goes to the federal government. Then when you talk of a withholding tax, construction and all those things go to the federal, but other ones, small businesses, go to the state. So it is clearly stated in the tax book. We are supposed to have the tax book as a businessman in order not to fall victim of the tax officers, because everybody, including myself, I will not exonerate myself. Anybody that has that opportunity to serve in that position will always want what goes to his pocket rather than what goes to the federal government. By the time you question that, they will tell you, not be spoil Nigeria. It's a very bad language that we have been using.
Okay. Now, the 2020 World Bank Ease of Doing Business Index ranked Nigeria as 159th on tax payments with a score of 53.7. What's the implication of this for businesses?
We don't pay tax at all. That's what they are trying to tell us. They are telling us that we are undertaxed. Okay. Now, when you are undertaxed, what are the causes of it? Is it that the tax system is not effective? Is it that the operators of the tax system are the people who are actually the cause? Don't you think that some people go to collect taxes from companies and co, and they will tell you, my friend, your tax is supposed to be this, but pay this while we work on this one. They will not tell you that, give us a tip. Pay this while we work on this one. That differential does not go to the federal government. In that situation, what the government is expected to get is now being cut short by those sharp practices. But meanwhile, why are people doing that? The cost of running the business is becoming too high, or has become too high. Let me not use the word it's becoming. It has become so high that they want to make sure they save costs from every angle, like your business angle now. You want to save costs from every business angle. They do. And by doing that, who pays the brunt is the federal government. And moreover, you cannot actually blame them. When you spend almost all your resources on power, how do you recoup if you have to do all this? Remember, most companies, I would not want to mention names because it will look as if an advert. So many companies, let me just mention like one like Blackwood. Or do you hear of that company again? Most of them have gone underground. Where is Volks? Where is a company like Pan? They've all gone under. Mostly because the cost of running are not there. And the brain drain also affected them. But when we talk in terms of taxes now, when you see that the particular section of the economy is going down, I expect the government through the Ministry of Finance, either in collaboration with the Federal Office of Statistics, to get the data of all these companies, make sure that you will be able to give them tax holidays so that they can come up. Nigeria is losing so much to taxes because we don't have the revenue, the tax base to collect all these taxes. Now they've resorted to self-assessment. You sit in your office, you fill your own form in your tax form data, you make your calculation, you remit to the government. And most cases, the government does not even come to cross-check whether what you have put there is correct or not. They rely on your bank statement. You submit your bank statement to calculate all your deposits and withdrawals, and they work out the tax you are supposed to be. They cannot capture all. The tax system is not wide enough to capture every business we do in Nigeria. I can bet you this what you call it, ZSMC or MX, this small scale
MSME.
Yes, MSME. I can tell you that more than 50% of them are not registered. They are not in the books of the government. And where are those sources supposed to go? Definitely, they will remain in their various pockets, and it has a pull-down effect on the allocation or on the revenue of the responsible agencies that are supposed to collect that money.
Okay. Now, you actually talked about corruption in the system, and the Global Director, Macroeconomics, Trade and Investment Global Practices at World Bank said complex tax systems foster a culture of evasion and can create opportunities for corruption. And that is actually happening in the system.
Exactly.
How can this be checked?
It is a bit difficult.
Okay.
It's a bit difficult because when you talk of something like internal control is a mechanism instituted by the management to checkmate the rot in the system. And it can only take internal control to work effectively if the operators of that internal control system are plain-minded. They can collude with each other and commit crime. Nobody is going to probe them. Now, one, we don't have a complete legal system that will deal with matters of corruption if the issues come up. If you don't penalize an officer for doing what he's not supposed to do, another person will be tempted to do it. Until we have a disciplinary measure in place or a penalty for anyone that comes under that type of scenario, nothing will ever work. And again, Nigeria, we have How do I put it now? We so much admonish wealth more than hard work. Nobody wants to see whether you are hardworking. Nobody wants to see whether you are intelligent. Nobody wants to see how skilled you are. All they want to see it is money. So these officers too, these people that go on the field to collect, they also want to feel like they're mates in the other sectors of the economy. Therefore, they will always tell you, this is what you can pay, this is what I can do, I will defend you. Don't worry, I will give it to whoever that is going to approve, is going to do it. Do you know that in major tax offices now, they don't even give a chartered accountants audit report. They give them to touts. The touts go and give to auditors, licensed auditors, on a peanut. Why are they doing this? Because they want to cut corners. Until the government start giving credibility to those who are credible, forget how much the person has put in his pocket. These things will never change. Corruption has eaten so deep into the fabrics of the nation, not only the persons, into the fabrics of the nation, that every position you get into, the first thing you want to see, how much are you going to make on top of your pay, if at all there is pay. So if you want to correct these anomalies, one, let the officers that are occupying that place not come through quota. That's a big problem. Because most of these people that come through quota, they don't even know the system at all. They rely on the lower officers. And the lower officers will only give to him what he or she wants. Let us eliminate that one. Two, let us enforce the legal aspect of it. Whoever that has done this, what is the penalty of that person? In those days, they normally do this thing they call declaration of asset for any public officer. When last have we heard of that? Somebody that comes in as a junior staff in the Inland Revenue, before he leaves, is already acquiring estates. Nobody asks how those questions come up. And they will tell you the guy has made it. He has arrived. Arrived from where? Where was he coming from? So the federal government we don't have a legal system, that's the way I should put it, that will penalize all these people that are in charge of all this thing.
Okay.
Corruption, like as I normally say, is of two types. We have the moral corruption, we have the financial corruption. Financial corruption is you after the money, you after every little things. But when you talk of moral, you can even want to carry this building, housing, DBS away. Because you don't know the uses and you don't even want to know, you want to put it somewhere and say, this is my own. Like in Abuja, there is an estate of about 120 or 30 houses. Nobody has ever lived there, and it's owned by only one man. Is that not moral corruption? What does he want to do with it? If he dies now, none of his family knows that he has that type of estate there. What happens to that estate? So until we will address, we need a political statement transforming into policy statement that will stem all these things. If I am seated here with you like we are doing now, I should be afraid to pick that bag away from there because somebody will raise an alarm and I will be penalized. But if there is no such system in place, definitely everybody will want to do it. Corruption in Nigeria, fighting it is a corruption itself because it has eaten too deep. You and I cannot sit on the table, eat a whole cow or a whole goat because we cannot finish a cow. Then I will come out and I tell you that your head is like the head of a goat. You will not take it because I am also involved. Let the government come out with a policy statement that will address corruption. And I feel very well that the government will find it too difficult to address the corruption because most of those people who will address is also involved, including myself, because I'm not as honest myself.
Okay. Now let's look at investors, especially foreign investors. The issue of multiple taxation actually scares a lot of foreign investors from coming into the country, and we've actually seen in some cases some investors relocating from the country to other countries. How can we actually maintain a friendly tax system that we attract investors into the system?
It's not a problem. Whatever government wants to achieve, they will achieve it.
Okay.
They have all the mechanisms in the world to achieve anything they want to achieve, unless, of course, they don't want to implement that policy. If you have new investors, there is this thing we call tax holidays, tax-free period. Okay, for the next 3 years, we are not going to tax you. For the next 4 years, we are not going to tax you. Bring in their products, even at the port, because definitely you must pay your tariff. When you bring them at the port, okay, this thing is going to be of economic interest to the country. Instead of giving you 100% tariff, pay 50% of it, because it's going to develop our economy. Use that to pull them nearer. Now, look at even common telephone calls we are making. They told us the price has gone up. Look at, what do they call it? Your power bill has gone up through multiple tax. This one wants to collect, the other one wants to collect. The federal government will say it is our own. The boys coming to disconnect your light will collect their own. If the government should be able to give them this tax-free period, which is called tax holidays, it will encourage so many investors to come in. But definitely, in our situation of today, it's not only that one that will encourage the investors. They need security. Okay. Without security, if you like them, let them pay zero tax. They will not come because nobody wants to invest. And he gets there tomorrow, the whole building is no longer in existence. All the thing is lost. We have to be very pragmatic about this situation. Drastic problem needs a drastic solution. Federal government, please, because even, look, no matter how rich you are, you can't feed all your family. So no matter how comfortable they are, all their family members cannot be comfortable. We are all in the same shoes that we are complaining. Only that some of them decided not to complain. But one day the king that knows Joseph will sit on the throne and say, yes, enough is enough. Let the foreign investors come in with federal government relaxing some of the policies relating to their payment of tax. Don't forget, they will also remit money back to their home countries for investing here. If you watch it very well, every 5 months, most of the white men go on holidays for 1 month. They come back, another 5 months, they work, another 1 month they go. They have to go with money. So I need by the time they finish all their money, all their profit elements on paying taxes, they will tell you, my friend, the business environment is not friendly. The federal government has the capacity to do that. But if you invest more, collect lower taxes, you make more money than people investing very little and you want to collect taxes from them. If you collect 5,000 times 1 million companies, how much does it give you? And if you collect 500,000 times 20,000 companies, what's it? You see a large difference before it.
Okay. Now, before we wrap up, how can we make the tax system easy for MSMEs? We
have, the course of our discussion, we have stated those ones and touched them. The only way to make them comfortable for them, let them know the actual rate they want to pay. Okay. Let them know the agencies they are paying to. Okay. Let everybody have that tax paper in his or her hands to be able to confront the tax officers when they come. And moreover, let all of them be duly registered by the appropriate authority so that anybody cannot just walk into them and start collecting taxes from them. Most of the taxes they collect don't even get to the government coffers. That's what you know also. So to eliminate all this, let everybody be tax educated. You don't need to go to school to do that. Get your company registered. Okay, give me the pamphlet, let me know where I fall into. You have it in your hands. Anybody that is coming, if he's speaking too much English, oh God, me, I don't go that place. So that the way there's something I pay with this, and this is the authority I pay to. And we should also try as much as possible to eliminate paying through touts. Because some of them will come and collect before in the next 2 days, another set will come again. Eliminate paying through touts, go straight to either the office to pay or pay to the designated account given to you. You have your teller by your entrance. When they come, they see your teller. Nobody wants to trouble you anymore.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Odomo Ife, as a chartered tax practitioner. Thank you so much for your insightful contribution.
God bless you. I hope to be with you again some other time.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. And this is wrapping up Business Angle for today. Urging you join us same time next week Tuesday for a fresh edition. I'm Mercy Amarsawari. To have a great day.